My name is Mary Poffenroth. I'm a university biology lecturer and science communicator. My goal is to make science engaging and accessible for all through my writing, videos, and my most beloved medium, speaking to live audiences on stage and in person. I myself am afraid of a lot of things. Some of them real, and some of them totally made up in my head. So I'm going to start with a story that includes both. And as I held her hand for her last breath, I made a vow. Not to do right by the family name or make her proud, but I vowed not to live my life in fear like she had. And that was a turning point for both my research and the way I live my life. Fear is an opportunity instead of an obstacle. And when we can start to really ingrain that into our daily practice, our lives can completely change. Humans have one of 4 usual mechanisms for dealing with fear. You probably have 1 or 2 of these. For me, my favorite is avoiding. I will avoid things as long as I can. I will hide. I will pretend it doesn't exist until there's no other choice than to deal with it. But out of these 4, the one that has the most power to support your success is going to be reframing. Reframing is rewriting your stories. And sometimes those rewrites are complicated, and sometimes they need lots and lots of revisions. But rewriting our fear stories not only can be done, but should be done. When we get comfortable with our fear, we are able to become the people that we want to be. We all have the power to rewrite our fear narratives. And the best time to start working on those fear stories and rewriting them and reframing them to help support you is before that spider is in the corner of your room, right above the bed. Because where else would it be, right?
So when we get curious about fears, we find that not all of them come from us. They come from the media, they come from our leaders, they come from our friends and family. And this is important to think about because fear is at the root of many of our world's problems. Fear of scarcity leads to overconsumption of resources. Fear of failure doesn't allow us to take risks and create innovative solutions. And fear can create political instability and violence. So what do we do about these things? It's saturated within our culture. Fear is a powerful persuasive tool. Fear can get our attention and motivate us to think or act in a different way. And of course, get us to buy.
Which is why science was such a great choice for me, because in science, you get to remove your humanity from your work. Emotions are a liability in science. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. For me, I didn't really start thinking about fear until I became a university biology lecturer and fear researcher. And it's then that I started to try and analyze how we interact with fear. Not just to understand my own fears, but the fears of others. And during my research, I would constantly come across these mantras that I'm sure you've seen before. Things like fight the fear and conquer your fears. And of course, my favorite, become fearless. Which as a biologist, I was always just struggling with this because unless you have severe damage to your amygdala, it is biologically impossible to be fearless. So here we are, as adults, pretty unequipped for dealing with this fear-saturated culture that we find ourselves in. And it's starting to show. 1 in 5 adult Americans deal with anxiety disorders. For children, it's 1 in 8. Now today, I am not talking about the very real threats to your immediate survival. I'm also not talking about the phobias and mental health challenges that many of us face. Today I'm talking about the fears that keep us from the lives that we want, and those fears that may or may not exist in a future that may or may not exist.